Everybody wants to be super comfortable on their journey to wealth. And sometimes that's why the journey is taking so long or it's not getting started. I lived with people on my journey to wealth. I think people are scared of failure, but people are scared of success as well. I'm a big fan of the process because I'm a strong believer in you never arrive.
We're seeing headlines that landlords are selling up in record numbers. Why do you think that's happening now?
Landlords have been quote unquote under attack for as long as I remember in property, right? Even when I first got in, legislation was changing that wasn't in my favor. When you look at like things like mortgage interest relief, you look at things like stamp duty surcharges.
Do you feel like the UK is facing a bit of a property wealth drain?
But there is a wealth divide in the UK. It's commonly known that people that approach £100,000 salary, how does a situation exist where people are asking to earn less? You need to fix that. If you're asking to earn less, then that means that people are steering away from innovation. They must be steering away from risk. They must be steering away from building anything new.
So what opportunities do you see in that exodus that's happening?
Anybody that wants to build a business or like build wealth, like you need to get yourself in positions where you can sell to people that have money.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Ato. We have a special guest in the building. I think it's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming. It's been some years of, we've it. Oh, yeah. Also, our date.
And we finally made it happen. We've got Tayo today, who's a property expert, financial commentator, and co-founder of BrickzWithTipz. He bought his first property at 21, built a multi-property portfolio, and now combines his experience as a former mortgage advisor with regular appearances on Channel 4, BBC, and beyond to make property and finance simple and accessible for the new generation. Tayo, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. Thank you for that introduction, bro. I find it hard to introduce myself. I'm gonna have to get you to send me that.
You know what? I'll give you a tip. I'll ChatGPT. Create a bio. That's what it is.
ChatGPT's gone now, isn't it? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
so
crazy.
That's, ChatGPT will give you all the love, man.
Package it together. But I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's been a busy week and but things have been good, man. It's nice to have you here. So I wanted to start with this question, right? Talk me through the journey of buying your first property at 21, because obviously you did it at quite a young age.
Yeah.
And what set you on that path?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think that there's a number of things, right? I think that when I was younger, I was always somebody that did stuff in it. Like I didn't mind being a pioneer. I didn't mind being the first person to start doing stuff. So I know everyone's got a story of selling sweets and that in their school, but I was one of the people that like started it, or and not to say that I was first, but more so that I didn't wait for people to start before doing stuff. And I think that ties quite closely into my decision to buy a property at a young age. I was looking for work, and at one point I was working in a bank and I was killing all the sales as a personal banker, and I said, look, next level up, I want to be a mortgage advisor, right? And they wouldn't let me. Right? They kept on saying, positions aren't available. We're not really promoting internally, blah, blah, blah. So in the same breath as I mentioned in school, I didn't really wait. I don't really like waiting, right? So I just applied to be a mortgage broker at a estate agency.
Right. Okay.
Paid me a salary, got a bonus, so on and so forth, and I was doing really, really well. This is around the 21 years mark as well. And I think that something that's really, really important is that when you have close proximity to something, you see that it's possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a big part of, Antoinette and I are big fans of education now, because this whole scary thing about buying your first home, all of a sudden when you work in the industry and your target is for 12 people to complete on or to write 12 mortgages per week, all of a sudden all of those barriers come down because you really understand it. Does that make sense? So it was actually education that made it possible. And then I didn't mind being the first person to go out further. Back then, everybody had the idea that they're going to buy a property in the area that they grew up in, right? Yeah. I went quite a lot further. And I'll be fair and say that I was able to go quite a lot further as well, because while I was growing up, my parents weren't born here, right? They were born in Nigeria. And we grew up in close to central London, Borough. Then we moved to Woolworth Road, moving further out. And as we're moving further out, the areas are getting safer and the properties are getting bigger, right? From small apartments to a house and so on and so forth. Anyways, I say that to say, I was already in Orpington, which was considered far back then. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Back then, you know what I'm talking about? It was considered. It was considered far, but nowadays, if you're buying a property in Orpington, this is someone might say that, right? You're there well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So back then it was considered far. So I was already far. So I was willing to go further out. Whereas it would have been harder for some of my friends that still lived in Peckham to even consider going beyond Orpington, if that makes sense.
Okay, mad. So where was their first property? What area is it?
Sittingbourne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Proper in this
Yeah, far, man.
What made you decide there and not like you say, like other people wanted to be more inner city London?
Yeah, it was what I could afford.
Okay.
And this is something I tell people. It's you can afford somewhere if you've got a job with more time. If you've got a job with some savings, you can afford to buy a house somewhere. It's all about if you're willing to do it effectively. And I was of the mindset that, look, I spoke about how my parents moved further and further out, and like properties got better and areas got safer. Similarly, in church, for example, a lot of my aunties and uncles, I always tell people that 2 combined salaries at the peak of their careers are buying in Kent as well. They're buying Orpington, they're buying Dartford. So I'm just thinking, all right, in 15 years' time, where's their kids going to live? Because Orpington and Dartford's going to be more expensive than it is today. So where's their kids going to move? So I was like, all right, let me get ahead of the curve. Let me roll the dice and think that they might actually have to move to Sittingbourne. And I can tell you, like 4 people that I know that have bought in Sittingbourne in the last 12 months.
Wow.
You see it?
Yeah, so that first property that you bought, what did that do for you? Like buying it, as especially again at such a young age.
Yeah, I think that it created a level of independence. Obviously, university did a lot for me as well, whereby independence, I was able to live alone. But I kind of took that to another level when I bought my first home. When I bought my first home, I lived in 1 room, I rented out the other 2 rooms, right? So I'm able to earn, I basically didn't have a mortgage from month 1 because the first tenant is basically paying the mortgage, the second tenant is basically profit, right? And it taught me a lot, right? Because remember I was a mortgage broker as well. So not only am I writing new mortgages for people, I'm remortgaging for people as well.
Yeah.
So I'm already thinking about pulling out more money out of that existing property so I could use it to buy another one. Why? Because I've seen it. I've done it for people several times. I've done it for people that look like me or work the same job as me or whatever it is. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Once again, close proximity and that education just made me believe it was possible. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. When there was enough equity in the property, I pulled that equity and I used it to buy property too.
Yeah. You know what's so fascinating about it is because like you did a lot of this stuff at a young age, and like you said, that the other thing I want to touch on, right, that a lot of people wouldn't do. So there's 2 things that you did that I think is quite special. So you mentioned obviously going outside. A lot of us are stubborn. We want to buy where we are. We don't want to try and like even be like, you know what, let me go a little bit outside of London. Let me do a Milton Keynes. Let me do somewhere a bit further, right? That's one thing you did. The second thing you did was you lived in the property, but then you also rented out the other. Some people would do that, you know.
Yeah, because comfort. Everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to be super comfortable on their journey to wealth, right? And sometimes that's why the journey's taking so long, or it's not getting started. I lived with people on my journey to wealth. There's other things that people do on their journey to wealth. So some people work late. Some people work 2 jobs. Some people don't go out and have any leisure for 2 years while they're locking in. But I just feel like a lot of people want to be super comfortable on their journey to wealth or their journey to where you want to be. You can lock in and still enjoy the process, right? I'm a big fan of the process because I'm a strong believer in you never arrive. And this is whatever you're doing, right? Anything that you're aspiring to. I really think that you never arrive because there's always something more. There's always a 1% more that can be done. Or do you get what I'm trying to say? I always tell people that when I was younger, my goal was to make money, and I'm so glad that I got rid of that goal. You need real tangible goals that mean something, because I tell you something, right? Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos is still chasing Elon Musk, or the other way around. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. If they're about money, then if they are still chasing someone, then how much more so? When is it going to stop for you? Does that kind of make sense? Yeah. So you need to really have other things that you are aspiring to. And don't get me wrong, money is a tool that can get you there or help you enjoy these things more. But that's when the planning for money comes in, basically.
Yeah, it's important. And I think people need to think about that. So I wanted to talk about the time as a mortgage advisor. What did you notice most about the way people think or often get wrong when it comes to mortgages and wealth?
Yeah, I think that there's so much that people don't know, right? When people come in to see a mortgage broker, it's a huge step for them. It might be the first time they're showing someone their payslips. The first time they're ever showing someone their bank account, right? And I think that there's a lot of things that people don't know that they think that they do know. And I think that when they finally come in and see a mortgage broker, that's when you start finding all the little crevices in policy that can actually make it possible for you to buy your first home, right? Yeah. I think that most people, when they go and see a mortgage broker, they will find out that it's more possible for them than they thought, basically. It's kind of hard for it to go the other way because you will learn something, and there's so much power in education.
Why do you think people are like so scared about this process of like buying property as well? Because you're right, like I feel like speaking to a mortgage advisor, for me, even just having that person to handhold, it's so interesting because there's no pressure. It's not like you have to go through the mortgage. You're just having a conversation with somebody. Why do you think people are so worried about like even doing that, taking that step to
I think it goes into a lot of things. I think people are scared of failure, but people are scared of success as well. The reason why I say that is that some people in their heart, they know they want to buy a property, and we'll speak about investment as well, but whether it's for their home or investment, right? And they don't want to start because they're scared of failure. But you've already failed if you don't start. Does that make sense?
Yeah, true.
That's why I call it a failure. They're scared of success to a certain extent because they're not even giving themselves a chance to be successful. It's a long process as well. So a lot of the time that people are scared to kind of like wait it out and see if it's truly possible for them. Some people deep down, they don't feel like they deserve it, to be quite honest with you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So there's a lot of things hindering people in it, but I need to find a better term for this, It seems weird I'm speaking about it properly. But you know, like in relationships, when people say it's better to have loved than lost. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's bad that I'm using this to talk about property, but it's the same thing. It's better to have whatever it is, property, investments, entrepreneurship. It's better to have given it a go and failed. Yeah. But a lot of the time, if you give it a go and you give it a good enough swing, there's a good chance of success. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's important. So where did BrickzWithTipz come into this whole, property journey? Because I know in your journey I think when I first discovered you actually on social media, I don't know the first time, but what I do remember is a whole 4 properties in 4 years. Where did that happen in the journey?
So that was the very first post on Twitter. Okay. Yeah. So how BrickzWithTipz came about is that kind of like, at this point, my wife and I were on our property journey, like buying properties, right? And I used to spend a lot of time not talking to my friends, talking to like my friends on like, this is how you like think about looking at this area, like this mortgage lender will do this and blah 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 blah, taking up huge amounts of time in it. I'm born a Nigerian, right? So I'm not somebody that does social media. I'm not somebody that puts my business out there. However, as mentioned before, I am also somebody that is willing to try something new and not wait. So when I did my first social media post, it wasn't something that was super, super comfortable. So basically what happened is that my wife Antoinette was like, look, we should just create content because all of the conversations we're having with people, we can make content, say the message once, you don't have to have loads of phone calls. Yeah, true. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to try it, post a YouTube video. I used to tweet a lot back then anyway. So made a YouTube video. Look, your first content, you've got to make it an attractive title. So I called it 4 Houses in 4 Years, right? Yeah. Which is what Antoinette and I had done. And posted it on Twitter, and mate, I felt so uncomfortable. And I think it's always important to say that because a lot of people think that like content creators are just born content creators.
They think we're comfortable all the time.
Like when you first turn on the camera, like it's natural. Like I felt super uncomfortable, like literally like gut wrenching in it. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of information you put out there, but I think that for us, that we just focused on why we're putting it out there, right? And I think back then as well, there was no clear path for content to even bring any kind of income, right? You're kind of, they say you're doing it for the love of the game.
Exactly. A lot of it is the passion.
Yeah, it is. It has to be, right? It has to be. So, put that out there, and then obviously got a lot of good feedback, and then just went on, built out more to Twitter, Instagram, later on TikTok, and so on and so forth. And it went strength to strength.
Okay, wow. Okay, so obviously first property, and then you did the other 4 within that, and then obviously that's what obviously I guess through being in the, and this is the thing, right, with information. I think sometimes I don't know if people value this information as much because now it's out there. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Now that it's out there, but I think people forgetting what it was before. People weren't online speaking about this. These things were happening behind closed doors, and now we're having these conversations at the forefront. openly, right?
I always tell people that like back then anybody that's been doing property for 10 years, right? Property was lonely back then. No one was really sharing the gems. And the people that sharing the gems were like people that had like 3 million liquid and they're buying properties and like, do you get what I'm trying to say? Like
not relatable.
Yeah, it's not really relatable, right? Yeah. So I think that it's definitely a different time and it's better now, right? You can see content from people that are more relatable or they're being very specific about what they're talking about. Because even back then it was very, very broad. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah, important. XTB is currently giving new clients a free share in Rolls-Royce when you open an account, verify it, and make your first deposit. And within a few days, that share is yours. I use XTB myself because it makes investing simple and affordable. You pay 0% commission when investing in stocks and ETFs, and you can earn up to 4.25% interest on any cash sitting in your account. You also get access to 10,000 stocks, ETFs, can start with as little as £10 and enjoy quick, secure and free deposits and withdrawals. It's one of the most straightforward platforms I've used, whether you're just starting or scaling your investment portfolio. So, if you'd like to kick off your investing journey with a free Rolls-Royce share, check out the link below or use code SAVVY and sign up today before the offer closes on the 30th of November 2025. Please note, the free stock promotion applies to the United Kingdom only. Your capital is at risk. The value of the stock may fluctuate. Limited availability. T's and C's apply. I want to know about financial risk. What do you think is the biggest financial risk you've taken that didn't pay off? And how did you bounce back from it?
So what a lot of people don't know, right, is that I'm a property person. I think that's where the education and what Antoinette and I do is. But Antoinette and I like business in general, right? We've got multiple businesses in Kenya. Even prior to where we are today, we both have done loads of stuff prior. I remember when I was younger, drop shipping, Forex, like learning about all that stuff. I've really been involved in it all, right? I'd say that was more time when I would say that money was my passion, and I kind of switched it up, right? Anyways, biggest financial risk that comes to mind, or financial L, I'd say it's just because of, it goes back to education. There's a lack of education, right? One of them was, I was in Dubai with my wife and a friend and their wife. It's the beginning of the year, went for my friend's birthday, chilling, it was a restaurant, innit? At these times, crypto was popping. You've heard the word now.
Yeah, okay. Crypto, yeah.
And just like, and I had like a couple crypto bits that were doing well as well. But just on a whim, it was like, yeah, this is January. I feel good. Let me see what this could be like this time next year, January, innit? So it was a special kind of crypto there. So the crypto experts will know what I'm talking about. I think it was called like a node or something. But anyways, you put money in, right? And it can grow and it pays you dividends. A little bit like property, right? Yeah. And you actually pay like some maintenance fees on a monthly basis. Okay. But it can like grow exponentially. And I put like a good 5-figure sum in it in one hit. And I think that's one of my biggest financial L's because there was no need.
Yeah.
I was actually just chilling at dinner. And it's not like, I knew about it a bit, but I'm a big believer in like, you need to be an expert in stuff or leverage expertise.
Yeah.
Be an expert or leverage expertise. Mm-hmm. And yeah, bro, that turned to dust, bro.
Wow. What prompted you to be like, chilling at dinner, like, okay, I'm going to do the
bro,
thing?
I was already in crypto. Crypto was doing well.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I had some bits like normal coins that were doing
like
well.
Bitcoin,
do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, not even them, bro.
Yeah.
Even like some worse ones, bro. Okay. But they've done well. I've pulled my money out, put it into a stable coin, innit? Okay. So there was this particular node, I can't even remember what, I think it was called Strong or something like that. Okay. This is going to be funny because if anyone knows about Strong, they'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. But I'd been researching it. I knew a bit about it. I knew people that had been in it and done well. Wow. And I just said, you know what? Let's just go in it. And I think that's the thing about crypto is that crypto can be, depending on how you do it, it can be extremely quick wins. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. And I'd seen extremely quick wins. Yeah. And I think for me as well, it's not something I'm used to because with property, I'm really in the long game. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I'm kind of fighting against who I normally am as an investor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, because there's more steady gains. But crypto is this new phenomenon, and there's definitely going to be a few more conversations I'm going to have on the podcast about it because it is like, it's a crazy space, and I think it does redefine finance a little bit. It redefines it. Like, for example, so I can say this to you now, but you'll have the same reactions that my friends did. I've said this story before, but I think I put like
$500 in a rubbish coin. Yeah, but these that flip mad. Yeah, so within the first day, it's at 4K.
Wow.
This is no cap as well. The coin was called Australian Shepherd something. Yeah, the acronym was ASS. Yeah, which is insane. It's gone to 4K. Yeah, okay, cool. A few days later, it's gone to like 29.
What?
Yeah. A few days later again, it's gone to like 68. It gets to like 72. Yeah, but remember, it's not going straight up.
Yeah,
it's just going up and down, up and down, up and down. Basically, I watch it tumble all the way down and leave with 6K, which is still a huge amount from £400. But my friends are like, why wouldn't you take out when it's 30 bags? Why wouldn't you take it out when it's 60 bags? I say, bro, you see crypto when you see it on the screen, yeah? When it's gone to 60 bags that quickly, you think it's going 600 by Friday.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? And like, it's very, very hard to explain if you're not there and then. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And like after that thing that happened to me where I put it in that node, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, look, if I'm going to do crypto, I'm doing it like I do S&P 500. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Dollar cost averaging, monthly direct debits into a main coin like Bitcoin.
None of these
I'm blocking this out, bro.
Yeah.
I've taken it off my time now. Not interested. So it don't come up and tempt me, bro.
It just gets you into the mode that you don't need to be in, and because it's emotional, man.
It's emotional, and the mode that you need to be in is one that I'm in with property. And I think that the thing that I love about property is that you can see it coming, if that makes sense. You can see, even when there's changes in legislation, they give you like 2 years until it comes into effect. Slow moving ship. You can put things in place to steer your ship, if that kind of makes sense.
Crypto is a madness. I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, at least you took some profits out of it, which is always useful. So we wanted to talk about the current state of profits, right? So we're seeing headlines and landlords are selling up in record numbers. Why do you think that's happening now?
Yeah, look, landlords have been quote unquote under attack for as long as I remember in property, right? Even when I first got in, legislation was changing that wasn't in my favor. When you look at like things like mortgage interest relief, you look at things like stamp duty surcharges. Stamp duty surcharge for someone getting into property today, that's all they know. Like, the stamp duty surcharges were like, you got what I'm trying to say, they weren't around. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then they got worse and worse and worse, basically. So I think that the most recent one is the Renters Reform Bill. Renters Reform Bill is basically a bit of policy that means that tenants have more security. It's harder to evict them because a bit of policy called Section 21 has been abolished, which means that a landlord can only regain possession of their home if they're moving back into their home and they can show evidence, or if they're selling their home. Back in the days, if a landlord wanted to refurb his property, he could serve a Section 21 and get the tenant out. Or if the tenant kept on paying late by 15 days, they could serve a Section 21, get the tenant out. You cannot do any of those things anymore.
Wow.
Evidence that you're selling the property or evidence that you're moving back into the property effectively. Now, if you're a landlord with 100 properties, how many times can you evidence you're moving into a property, right? You can only move into one property at a time. So that means that you can only regain possession of your property if you sell it. And that's why some landlords are choosing to sell and leave effectively. And then also with new Labour government coming into power, right? It's kind of like if policy was changing in a workplace anyway, but a new manager came in at the same time, you might think, this manager, do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, he's gonna, do you get what I'm trying to say? So people are taking those measures, innit? It's not all doom and gloom. I think that, as I mentioned, landlords have been dealing with it for a long time. Property investors have been dealing with it for a long time, right? Warren Buffett has that saying that when others become fearful, it's time to get greedy. When others are greedy, it's better to be fearful, right? So I think that a lot of people are spotting opportunities. I mean, if a lot of landlords are selling, one thing, just very, very high level, you could use that to indicate that more properties are coming to market. There's more properties coming to market. You could use that to indicate that there's more chance to get a better price when you buy. And you know what they say in property, the money's made when you buy. So
And what opportunities do you see in that, like this exodus that's happening potentially?
I think that in the buying space there can be opportunities. Landlords are fed up. Some landlords are trying to get rid of properties in bulk, so there's bulk deals available, or even if they're selling them one by one, they're not paying attention to that one sale as they would. I mean, if someone's selling 10 properties at once, not at once, but 10 different properties, there's going to be less attention by way of like the price that they get than if they were just selling one, right? I think there's huge opportunities in the rent-to-rent space as well. This is because the landlords that stay in are aware that there is an issue. And a lot of them may opt to not rent their property to tenants. So people that are rent-to-rent operators, because I have a rent-to-rent arm as well, and I've found it that it's changed already.
Okay.
They're looking for options because we'll be signing a company let agreement, and the Section 20, the changes in legislation don't apply to company lets, right? Okay. Rules are very, very strict because what you need to understand is that when you evict an individual tenant, that's somebody that needs to be rehoused somewhere, right? And it's the government's responsibility to sort that out in whichever way they do. They're not strict for company let agreements because a company this is business to business. I'm a private company. If you evict a private company, I mean, the worst thing that can happen is loss of profit. Does that kind of make sense?
Okay.
So we sign company let agreements. Landlords are happy because if something that falls out of the contract or they're getting rent late, it's very, very easy it's a lot easier to evict a company basically.
Right, I get it. So with the changes in the law, you're saying that it makes the opportunity that it makes more sense actually to, like you say, the rent to rent. A lot of landlords
will let it to a company.
Yeah, because they're worried that, okay, if I have a problem with a tenant in the future,
I might never get the property back. And it's actually true. So it's basically converted into lifetime tenancies, basically. So a lot of landlords are let into companies to retain control. And a lot of companies are finding there's huge opportunities now to do business with landlords. And they'll take on a property and like put it on Airbnb, which is what I do.
Yeah. Do you find that B2B a bit better? Do you prefer?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking like the steady stream of income probably charge more and stuff like that.
Yeah. So for a landlord, right, what they need to understand is that they are letting a property to someone who makes money off their property. They've taken it on to make a profit, which means that if they've taken it on to make a profit, your rent is their raw material, for example. And they're definitely going to make that rent because they've actually taken it on to make profit. Okay. In simple terms, they've taken it on to make £2,000 per month and they need to pay you £1,000 a month, right? So they're definitely going to be in a position where they can comfortably get that £1,000 a month, and it just makes it quite comfortable in that respect, basically.
How did you go about? What made you decide to go down that route? Like, okay, let me go down to rent with companies specifically as well. Yeah.
So, great question. I always tell people that when I first started in property, I didn't really have a strategy, which is one of the first things I tell people that if you're starting in property, find out what you want property to do for you. Antoinette and I were kind of just buying properties, right? Equity was really, really good. Asset rich, but the cash flow isn't cash flowing, right? Doing standard buy to let. Yeah. At the time, the profit margins were bigger, £700, £800. Over time, they tended to shrink, getting closer to the £500 and so on and so forth. So there's property strategies within a property that you own or rent, right? So we were doing buy to let. We switched them all to Airbnb. Now, when you switch a property that you own to Airbnb, the profits are huge, right? The reason why I say that is that I'll come on to why the profits are huge on a property that you own, right? So I'm like, this cash flow is good. You got to say really, really good. So I want to get more. Now, if you want to buy a property, let's just say the average I was buying properties down south quite heavily at the time. So let's say that the average price that you want to buy a property is 300k. I mean, in today's prices, that's 75k deposit, 20k stamp duty, maybe 10k fees. That's 105k. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's heavy cash outlay. I wanted to get more of that cash flow. I was comfortable with where we were asset-wise. I just wanted more cash flow. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me spend less than 10k, less than 8k really, to rent a property off a landlord, do it up and start letting it out and getting a similar cash flow. So let me give you an example, right? I always tell people that if you own a property, you need to be doing Airbnb first of all, because there's people that will take your property at market rent and make money on top of it. So if your mortgage is down here, that's how much room you've got, basically. Because they will take your property at market rent and make money on it. So how much money, do you get what I'm trying to say? So, rent to rent, started doing that, building out a company, and been going really, really well.
Okay.
I think one thing about that is that you spoke about B2B.
Yeah.
And I think this is one thing I love about it. If I could go back in time, I'd do sales, right? Because understanding sales and just learning people is so, so important in today. But I think anybody that wants to build a business or like build wealth, like you need to get yourself in positions where you can sell to people that have money. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And what rent to rent really showed me, or Airbnb really showed me, is that you can take a normal property, add value internally. Now you can let it out to a company, because that's a lot of what I do.
Yeah.
Letting it out to companies, electrical services companies, construction workers that will take the property for a 3-month basis and pay upfront, by the way, because that's how things work in Airbnb. You send them an invoice, they're sending you 18,000, 32,000, 41,000 pounds in a lump sum. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
That's crazy.
And these are very regular occurrences. And I think that they're becoming even more regular because, especially in the construction industry, they think they're going to spend 1, 2, 3 months there. They end up spending 6 months a year. It happens all the time, right? So something that works really, really well. And I've even been able to teach other people to do it as well.
Yeah. How did you go about like contacting people like that? Because that's a bit mad. Right?
So a lot of people ask that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give another example just so you know it's not just this.
Yeah. Okay.
If you go into a 3-bedroom house here and you stage the box room as an office, people are going to call it a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah.
You tell people what you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
You tell people what you are. So people ask that question a lot. Airbnb puts your property in front of millions of people. That's one thing about Airbnb. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
it puts your property, just in general in property, like when it comes to letting out your property on buy-to-let or whatever, if you can get your property on Rightmove, millions of people can see it. So Airbnb puts your property in front of millions of people. People don't know that Booking.com has more users than Airbnb. So it puts it in front of even more. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. The next thing is about making yourself seem visible for these people, right? A lot of people don't do simple things like in the title, perfect for contractors. Tell how many people it sleeps in the title.
Okay.
I'd say 60 to 70% of my contractor bookings or company bookings
like
have come through Airbnb.
Okay, so
they've got accounts.
It's not you even trying to push it out
they've
there.
got accounts. Okay. Like you'll see that the person, and it's crazy as well. I always give the example that someone cleared an invoice for me at the beginning of August for about 32,000. Yeah, they're taking a property for just under 5 months. Right, when you go on her reviews, it's not her first time doing it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? She's done it several times. It's something normal that they do, right? She represents an electrical services company, but I think they operate over all of Europe, right? They've got a company account and they make bookings on Airbnb. That's what they do.
Crazy.
So yeah.
Wow. That's so lucrative, man, for you. Well done for like finding something like that, because I think it's like what you say, it's just because rules change or just because things look challenging, that doesn't mean you can't find an opportunity. I think I think that's you putting your business hat on as well. And people need to respond like that. If things change, just it's just about adapting. I think adapting is one of the most important skills that you can have as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're able to adapt, then you're able to then spot the new opportunities that are there.
You just need to be solutions based, right? Yeah. All entrepreneurs just need to be solutions based. I always give people the example, like for example, back in the days, I didn't run ads and that back in the day, but I remember when Meta ads changed. Yeah. I remember other people that were in like e-commerce selling clothes and that talking about it, right? But some of them are still standing today. How? Yeah. They adapted, they're solutions based. They didn't pack it in. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I think that people need to be solutions based. The other thing I want to say as well is that you really need to be a person that is always open to learn as well. Yeah. Because when you learn, you discover. Does that make sense? I always give the example, right? That I remember when I was working full-time in banking, and then I stumbled upon something called contracting. Yeah. People getting paid double or triple for the same job. They just sit around the corner. And they've been told that the reason they get paid more is because their job is at risk, but me and them have been working here at the same time. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. And hopefully to those listening, this is just a clear example. I wanted to use the working example, a clear example of you don't know what you don't know. If you hear something new explore it, do research, educate yourself, right? When it boils down to it, the numbers are going to say one thing or another, right? Listen to the numbers, don't listen to people. The numbers are going to say it works or it doesn't, right? So, just always be open to learning.
I completely agree. I wanted to ask you this question, right? Like, in terms of, do you feel like the way the UK property market is going, and the way, like, with, you know, all these changes to the law, do you feel like it's more benefiting, like, corporations, really high net worth individuals right now in the UK, and it's more for them rather than somebody who wants to now start up as like a landlord, or, you know, do like business in property?
Yeah, I think that sometimes it gets to a point where the people that are experienced in property, sometimes they welcome legislation. It can kind of, I guess that back in the days in property, it was more of a like scattergun approach. You could just buy a property and it'd do well, especially in that period, like maybe like our parents' age, where it's kind of like you buy a property, the golden era. You buy a property, retire a millionaire. Yeah, I'm joking, but yeah, you know what I mean, right? And I think because of that, a lot of people weren't really operating in the ways that they should do. So what happens is when they bring some legislation in, depending on what the legislation is. So, for example, legislation that like your EPC, which is your energy performance certificate, needs to be of a certain level if you're renting a property out. I don't mind that one. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, let's get these properties to a position, unless there's an excuse, let's get these properties to a position where they are comfortable for the people that are staying in the property, right? Yeah. So I think that in some cases it does provide opportunities for landlords or people getting into property to operate. Yeah. For the people that are coming in new, it just means that you'll start off getting it right first time from the beginning, right? Okay. And just ensuring that you're doing things properly.
So it's something you have to be sure that you're serious about. But like what you said, is figuring out what the strategy is that you want to do for yourself, right? That's important. So we talked offline, right, about kind of like the wealth drain in the UK. We know millionaires are leaving here, right? Do you feel like the UK is facing a bit of a property wealth drain? And obviously people move into, we know Dubai, like Dubai, a lot of people move to Dubai. Where else have I heard? I've heard Italy for sure, US, of course, Canada, Australia. So people are leaving in the UK. Do you feel like there's a bit of a...
Is there a wealth drain? I think so, yes. I think that the stats there, right? They said 16.5 million millionaires have left. I think to understand the gravity of that is that the UK was number one. I believe China was number two. Now, what you need to understand is that China has the biggest population in the whole world. The UK's population is nowhere near China's, and UK beat China. I mean, this isn't a percentage of this wasn't recorded in percentages, it's recorded in just numbers. Yeah. And UK had the most, right? 16.5 million leaving. I think that the UK is battling with the fact that politicians are making policy for the masses, but there is a wealth divide in the UK. So that kind of makes sense. Let me go back in time when the UK had that legislation. I don't know if you remember, that was clamping down on bankers' bonuses.
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of the banking happens, or especially back then, happened in London. I know nowadays like HSBC's got an office in like Birmingham and so on and so forth. But what you then find is that like the rest of the country is voting against some things that are only apparent in London, if that kind of makes sense. And I think that what happened is that you end up with something like that losing a lot of talent. And I think the same thing is happening with the wealth, which is where they're clamping down on the wealth. And then what happens after that is that the wealthy people have the means to leave. And you end up losing a lot of wealth in the UK. But I don't think it stops there, that right? Once you start losing wealth, it comes with a lot of things. A lot of these people create jobs. So are they taking their companies elsewhere? Yeah. How many jobs are being lost in the UK? It hampers innovation. There's that rule about, not a rule, but it's commonly known that people that approach £100,000 salary, some of them might ask to have a 90. How does a situation exist where people are asking to earn less? You need to fix that. Am I right though?
Yeah.
Like people asking for themselves to earn less because I'm going to lose my childcare, basically. You know what I'm trying to say? So if you're asking to earn less, then that means that people are they must be steering away from innovation. They must be steering away from risk. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? They must be steering away from building anything new, and it's just going to be harming productivity. So yeah, you're right. We've seen people go to to buy in other places in the Middle East. We've seen people go to Portugal because Portugal's got a good route to citizenship, and it's in Europe. We've seen people from the UK go to the US and thrive, right?
Yeah.
I think people love the US because people in the States, they have a dream, right? Everybody's going to support you in the US, right? What do you want to do? Oh, you want to do that? Amazing. Let's do it. Like sometimes in the UK, like if you've got a dream, someone might be like, "How?" Like they're thinking, "How dare you?" Am I making it up?
No.
Am I making it up?
You can't dream too big here, man. Whereas
What?
America,
That's why people
dream.
keep it to themselves. The Americans have the American dream. Like if everybody's earning 40,000 and you say that I want to be earning 200,000, 250,000 by the end of it, someone will look at you, bro. Someone will look at you like, "How dare you? Who do you think you are, bro? Who do you think you are?" Like we're laughing, but it's true.
It's just funny thinking that because it's true. We know that.
That's the culture. Whereas America, like, how are we gonna do it?
Yeah.
Oh, let me get involved.
Yeah, and even people might be like, "That's even too little. Let's go for
let's go for more. Yeah, let's go for more." Do you get what I'm trying to say? There's that belief, there's that dream in it, and I think that in certain, I wouldn't live in America just because of, you know what I mean. So I wouldn't live there, but I'm just saying that there's like the stark difference between the two, right? I think.
Yeah. It is a shame. I do think that now people are recognizing this as a problem, and there are things that we definitely do need to change, especially as we're going into the modern world, especially as other countries are catching up. The US is obviously there, China's changing, Russia, India, all of these places are all changing, and I do feel like as a culture, it does, like you say, I think it's key innovation, what you said.
Yeah.
Where in that tech era, right? And it's like you say, you want to foster that innovation. You want to foster people building businesses. You want to foster people like doing the best they can. But then the culture also has to change as well. Also, right? People shouldn't like look at somebody that's earning that much and be like, let's smite them. Let's like bring them down. I don't think that's the kind of right culture. And we've seen that a lot. Like I think, I heard that DJ recently. I don't know too much about it, but there's this DJ, the DJ
AG.
I heard something about there was something about his salary, putting a salary out, and people are going. I don't even know how much it was, but I just heard that people are going crazy about it, and it's like even that. Like, why would we be going crazy? Have you seen this guy? This guy is outside working. You actually see him working, and you still have a problem. Oh, why is he making that much?
Yeah.
Are you working as hard as him?
And this is the thing, a lot of people don't know how long people have been working as well.
Yeah.
How long they were working for free.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody wants to be the finished product straight away. Nobody wants to put in the craft. Yeah. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things take a long time. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, absolutely right. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's mad though, because nobody was checking for him, right? So imagine how he must feel. Nobody's checking for him. You're working. Nobody's coming to watch your DJ set. Now people are watching your DJ set and you're getting paid a reward, which I think is deserved because you went through that pain of having to do that. And now you're saying he don't deserve that. Why doesn't he deserve that? He went through that pain.
Yeah.
He did something that nobody else is doing, and you know, he deserves it because of the work. He didn't just appear one day. It's like, oh yeah, now everybody's there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm one of those people, for most earnings, for a lot of earnings, should I say. I believe that, like, look, I studied economics at university, and I think that it helped me break down a lot of things. Like the reason why a footballer gets paid so much money is that they're able to deliver their talent and it's televised. So it's so millions of people are able to enjoy it at one point.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now when people are like, "Rah, footballer gets paid, blah blah blah," and it's more than a nurse. A doctor, a surgeon can only save one life at a time. Huge respect for surgeons and doctors. I'm just speaking about the economic side of it. Footballers the doctor's surgery isn't live streamed for many people to enjoy at once, right? It's only affecting one person and their family, whereas a footballer can play on television, innit? So with that mindset, learning that from economics, it's kind of like, bro, if he is able to do his job and many people are able to enjoy it at once, then that's the fee that he's earned. Yeah. He's created a skill that's able to be monetized in that way. Because the truth is, right, a new platform can come out tomorrow that enables him to 4x that income as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not in our hands. It is in his hands, but I think that everybody, if you like the idea of that, then try and build something for yourself similar.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like for me, if I see somebody making it, I'm like, oh, why can't I try?
Yeah, literally
do that. It's not
this is
about
the
why is he
mindset.
earning that? Oh, how did I do that? What did he do?
What did he do? What was his? Where's he putting his stuff for? What? TikTok's paid him that. Okay, let me go look into the program.
Exactly. Running a business is tough. Invoices, receipts, tax deadlines, it never ends. I used to spend hours digging through spreadsheets and receipts just to figure out where my money was going until I started using Xero. Xero completely supercharged how I manage my business finances. Before I was constantly second guessing my numbers, now everything's accurate and automatic. Invoices send themselves, payments sync with my bank, and I can see my cash flow in real time, all on a single platform. What I love is how simple it makes everything. Xero takes the stress out of bookkeeping, freeing up the time to focus on growing my business instead of being buried in admin. Xero even makes managing bills easier, showing what's due and when, so I can stay in control and avoid unnecessary late payment fees. And when it comes to tax season, everything's already organized and ready to share with my accountant stress-free. It's honestly like having a digital finance assistant that never sleeps. If you're trying to scale your business or just stay on top of your numbers, this is the software that could actually save you time and sanity. And because I use Xero myself, I got something special for you. Tap the link in the description of this episode for a special offer and start supercharging your business with Xero. So I wanted to talk about interest rates because they've been trending downwards actually recently, unfortunately. What impact do you think that this will have on the property market? Or have you been seeing any impacts on it so far?
Yeah, so what typically happens, right, is that when interest rates go down, typically house prices go up because they become more affordable, more people can buy them, right? When interest rates go up, house prices typically come down. So that's generally what happens, right? With interest rates ticking downwards, I don't think they're going to get super low, like the 2%, 1% that we saw recently.
Yeah.
But I think they will trickle downwards in a downward direction. What that means, I think that for a lot of first-time buyers, I think they may see more favourable interest rates. But I always say something to first-time buyers, right? I made a post the other day. I said, what is high to you? What is a high interest rate?
Yeah, that's true.
You've never paid an interest rate in your life. So what is high? You told me. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I always use this African term. Sometimes we'll take a paracetamol for somebody else's headache. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because you are working in the city, you're a banker, and you only want to buy a flat for 250k anyway, and now you're putting your home buying plans on hold because interest rates have gone up from 3.5% to 4.5%. You don't even know what that means for you in monetary terms. You actually don't, because you haven't looked into it. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. And there's always those things that people mention, that some of our parents were paying 13%. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. When the interest rates that are now, that it's at now, this is what I entered the market in.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. And it came down to that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So, yeah, for me, it's just like, the question is it affordable for you today? Is it affordable for you tomorrow? What I mean by that is it going to be affordable for you today and in the long run?
Yeah.
Investors that are educated, right, when they're investing in property, buying property, a lot of them are a lot more aggressive because they understand the power in mortgages, right? And I say power because when you get educated, you start moving away from thinking that mortgages are scary.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that mortgage is the cheapest kind of debt you can get. That's why I'm taking mortgages.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay, right.
Because if a business person wants to go to the bank and get a loan to open a salon, it's going to cost them way more than a mortgage.
Yeah, it's not going to be like 3-4%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mortgage is the cheapest debt you can get. And that's why globally, the people that are investors, the people that are in money, mortgages, basically, if they are using it. It's only leverage if you, for me, very, very high term, like, it's only leverage if you beat the cost of borrowing.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that you borrow at 4%, you get 7% return.
Yeah.
Which you can do relatively easily, basically. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good point. When you say that, actually, you're absolutely right in the fact that mortgage is a cheaper debt compared to, yeah, you're right, loans. Because typically, like, if you're looking at like loans, business loans, probably 10% more.
Yeah, it's the cheapest. The only thing that can beat a mortgage is a 0% credit card.
Yeah.
Mortgages are the cheapest, basically.
Yeah.
And mortgages you can get in size. You can spread it over 25 years. You can add to it. You can subtract to it. You can do overpayments. Extremely flexible as well. Go to the different lenders every 2 to 5 years. Like, it's extremely flexible.
Yeah.
So if you are using mortgages to, for example, buy more property, it's the cheapest debt you're going to get, and that's why people do it like that. And it snowballs, right? You find yourself being able to refinance a property once every year, then it turns to twice a year, then you find out that you can refinance whatever you want, basically.
Yeah. Why do you think it's cheaper than all these other debts, actually? Mortgages. Why do you think it's a cheaper debt than all these other things?
Because it's also used because it doesn't need to be expensive. Change my answer.
Okay.
Banks make money, they're businesses, right?
Yeah.
They take your savings and they lend them out and they let it out. But I guess with a mortgage, with a business loan, you pay that back in 5 years. So they need to get the juice out of it within that period. 10 years to get the juice out of it quite quick. With mortgage, they're signing up for 30 years. So the volume doesn't even have to be turned on that loud. We're eating for a long time, provided the mortgage stays with them. Does that make sense? And that's why they work so hard to retain you as well. So they offer you new products, so you stay with them. So they have that mortgage for a longer period of time. So that's probably why they're cheaper. Not 100% sure, but that's probably why they're cheaper.
Okay. No, because now that you say that, I was like, oh, actually, you know what? I didn't think of it from holistically that, wow, it's actually a bit cheaper. So I wanted to use a scenario question for you. So let's take two young people today, and that's potentially watching and listening to this podcast. One has a 30K deposit, the other has just £1,000. How should each of them approach property if they wanted to build wealth?
Interesting. First thing for both of them, consume property content and consume property content and analyze your goals, right? Then you're going to map what property strategy suits your goals. Then you're going to consume more about that specific strategy. This is going to ensure that you're going into a property strategy that suits you, your lifestyle, your resources, or whatever it may be, basically. Now, it's going to get to a point where you've learned.
Yeah.
But one thing that I'm a very big believer in is that there's only so many Instagram reels that you can watch that's going to allow you to do something, right? And I'll give the example that when you are trying to pass your test, you do the theory, right? But you need to do the practical. You need to do your practical lessons. And when you do your practical lessons, your driving instructor is right next to you. Now, if you're looking at doing a property investment, I always say that why not have somebody that can teach you and shortcut you, let you skim past all of the mistakes, because there can be mistakes in property. So for the person that's got, let me start with the person that's got 30,000. I gave the example before, you're buying a property for 300K, 75K deposit, 20K stamp duty, 10K in fees is 105K. So they can't buy a 300K property. You could argue they could buy a 50K property up north, and that'd work. But you're back into the kind of tiny profits, buy to let, so on and so forth, basically. What I'd actually do if I was that person is that I'd get very, very familiar with rent service accommodation. Okay. That's what I do. Maybe I'm biased. And I'd take on a property. You can spend between 5 and 7K for your first property, and it can be cash flowing £1,000 a month, right? And you can turn that around quite quickly, and that can be your first introduction into property, building a property business. You can buy. I think that if you are going to buy, and this is probably something I should have said earlier, I'm going to move on to the person that's making 1,000. These are the property strategies that you should do if you buy. Airbnb once again, comfortable with HMO.
Okay.
HMO is going to be a bigger property though, so there's a larger cash outlay. Comfortable with flips, and some people get like some really good social housing contracts. In all of those scenarios, the 30K isn't going to hold you. So if you are adamant on buying on an investment basis, I would use some of that 30K to get super educated in one of those things, and then I'd learn how to raise finance.
Okay.
And then do it.
Okay.
And what that means is, and raise finance can sometimes sound tricky or risky or whatever it is. A lot of people have had help from family.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I want to get involved as well.
Yeah.
You know how to do this. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So you can learn off someone, not only what I do, but you can learn off someone that does flips. You can learn off someone that does something else, and then get into that strategy, basically. But at least now you're going with confidence. Enough confidence that you can now take some money off a family member or so on and so forth. But for me, I would use a portion of that money, start with my first rent to rent. Once that one's going sweetly, I'll scale it, I'll use the other money to get more. For the person that's got 1,000, they're going to need to stack more in property. A lot of people will tell you that, you could do this, you can do that. But I think that you just need to get past that £1,000 mark. Just have some more skin in the game, basically, because the realities of property is that sometimes you can flog 1,000 quite easily, right? By accident or just randomly, right? So I'd say just keep building on it and on the education. I'd add on to that to learn, to network as well. Meet people, just be super aggressive, but stack it up a bit more, basically.
Yeah. What would you say that for that person that's 1,000 that needs to save more, what do you think is the minimum amount for them to get? You mentioned, what was it?
Rent to service accommodation. So doing rent to rent and doing Airbnb. 5K, you can start looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they obviously that's 5K plus maybe they need to have education, right?
Exactly that. Yeah.
I'm glad you said education, because there's this, you probably know this as well. I feel like there's this stigma with education that people have, courses, paying for all of this stuff. And I think that's because there are some people in the game that are not genuine.
Yeah.
They've got they're not educating to educate. They're educating just to make money.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it gets mixed. It's like crypto, right? There's that bit of mixture.
Yeah, definitely like crypto. Because once you see crypto, you automatically think it's
scam.
What should I say?
I'm out of there. Yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right. There are a lot of people that are in there just to make money, and I think that there's a lot of people that are just not. They're just slime balls, right?
Yeah.
That's it. They're not authentic. They're just slime balls, and I think that this is the thing about education as well, because I spoke about education, which like you can get a mentor, but I spoke about education prior to that.
Yeah.
Take your time, do your research. It's easy to find out from other people who is really about this, from the results of the people that they've worked with. The chances are you know someone that they've worked with. If you don't know someone that they've worked with, what makes you think that that's the person that can help you? Does that make sense? The reason why I say that point before I go on to the last point is that a lot of people go outside of their community and learn off a complete stranger, and now you've lost 10K in silence. It's an echo chamber. No one knows this person. You found your first interaction with them was on an ad, basically. I say the final thing is, right, something that you said is super important. Who has a passion for education? Who has a passion for education before the courses? There's plenty of people, we spoke about it briefly, that we was doing it for the love of the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Back then there was there's no nothing in anything that we do. And there's a lot of us that came up at that time. Who started then and is still around today? Because there's some people that started then and they dropped off. They're not around. Who started then and is still around today? And I think that the reason why you got to ask yourself that question is that they've been teaching people for the love of the game. Now, what you need to understand is that when you get millions of views on YouTube, right? You can't serve millions with that intensity easily, basically. That is required, basically, which is where I go back to the point that if you can try and pull together loads and loads of Instagram reels, it's not going to help you. You need someone to sit down and spend time with you, basically. So yeah, that's what I say to that. And there's a lot of people, even like myself, that are doing it very, very well and getting great outcomes for people. So yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. What other mistakes do you think people make when they're getting into property? Obviously, we talked about this, like, giving money to people that they don't know. Is there any other mistakes that you've seen that people make?
I've said one before. I'm going to reiterate it, which is not knowing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Seeing property is a buzzword, just getting in and then just like not knowing what direction you want to go in, right? I think another mistake that people make is a lack of patience. This isn't just property, it's everything, right? Everybody wants to be the man on day one. Like, they're not willing to wait it out. Like, sometimes I did a post the other day. Have you tried anything for 12 months? Anything? Have you tried anything for 12 months? If you haven't tried anything for 12 months, you're not serious. If you haven't tried anything for 12 months, probably it's not for you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's not. Because it's not one of those things that it's going to, like, everybody. And the thing is, because of social media, and sometimes it's not people's fault, because of social media, you see people's stuff.
Yeah.
And you think that it just happened that day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even we gave the example DJ AG. When I saw him, I was like, yeah, big up, man.
Yeah.
Seeing the clips and that, seeing him get more people. I never knew that he was doing it for like 6 years, 5 years prior to that. And that's the thing. Everybody assumes that people started straight away.
He just blew up this year. Oh yeah, he just started and blew.
Even in business, I remember, bro, 8 years ago, I was like, bro, what if there was like a business here? Maybe not 8 years ago, but hear me out. What if there was a business that like, when you order from McDonald's, they'll bring the McDonald's to you.
Yeah.
Like, I would bring the McDonald's to them and I'd pay the riders. And then, like a year and a half later, I see like Deliveroo and Uber Eats and that, innit? I think, what, these man cut my business or something? Little did I know that these men have been working. Maybe they even existed when I said that. I just didn't know about them. Yeah. And it just goes to show that when you first see something, that doesn't mean that that's when they started.
Yeah.
People have been putting in the work. The question is, are you ready to put in the work, basically? Yeah. Are you ready to work in silence? If you're an entrepreneur, are you ready to work for less than minimum wage? Because that's what entrepreneurs, it's the truth, right?
No wage.
Yeah, no wage, less than minimum wage, no wage. Bro, with entrepreneurs, a lot of the stuff you're doing for free, it's for free until you get paid.
Yeah,
literally,
exactly.
Entrepreneurs work for free until they get paid, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's a madness. Are you willing to do it? If you're not, leave it.
Yeah.
Leave it. Do you have the patience? Do you have the perseverance? Yeah. That's the mistake that people have in property.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to understand that, because there is no, unfortunately, I think I've said this several times, and the guests have said this, there is no get rich quick. So I think people just need to be comfortable with that. Find something that they have love for. Like you say, there's a bit of a sticking power. Yeah, I can see myself doing this 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years. I can do that and I'm comfortable. And like you said, something even very important at the beginning, I enjoy the process. This is fun for me.
Yes.
I think that's what you've got to get to, rather than I need to be from 0 to 1 million in 1 year. And how am I going to do that? You ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
Just get over that fact. That's not happening.
Absolutely. Right? And when you're just starting out, you can like just make it clear to yourself. I spoke about it in the beginning, like think about what you want before the money. Oh, I want to spend some more time with my family. I want to be able to go on more holidays a year, and I want to even have enough money to be able to treat my parents to holidays. Okay, cool. Now work backwards. How much do you think you need for that? I think this question is super important. Okay, I think I need to get to a point where I'm earning 12 to 15,000 pounds a month or something like that, whatever it is, right? When you've written that down, the reason why I think that's so important is because now, if we're speaking about property alone, but it applies to other things, now there's certain strategies that you might not consider. Yeah. It doesn't meet that goal. And that's the problem. A lot of the time we don't ask ourselves those questions in the front end. So we're just doing stuff, but it's never going to get us to where we want to be. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, and on top of that, that's why a lot of people never try something new. If you keep on trying what you've always done, do you get what I'm trying to say? You're going to get what you've always had, right? So I think that it's super, super important to map out your goals, where you want to be, what's going to get you there. And then that's going to allow you to discern what you're going to do. And a lot of things I say, these are things that I wish I'd done earlier as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? As I mentioned, when I started property, I started buy-to-let. It was good for me at the time, right? It allowed me to have a nice car while working in the city and so on and so forth. But there was no real strategy behind it until I switched it up.
Okay. I appreciate you saying that, because goals are, at the end of the day, you should be doing this thing to achieve something for yourself, not just following like what other people do. We've never really spoke about on the podcast like buying property through business. How does that work? Can you just like give us a bit of an overview of how that works versus not buying it in business, and why do people do that? Yeah.
So I can speak of this because I've got properties in my name. Too many properties in my name. Because when I was buying them, it was before the legislation that made people buy businesses came about. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some OGs in the game that might have been buying through businesses anyway. Yeah. But back when I was buying, there was no problem in buying through your name. Right? So Antoinette and I got properties in our name, then we've got properties in a business. So when it's in your name, if you're a high rate taxpayer, the changes in mortgage interest relief basically just mean that your profits get eroded quite massively, right? Okay. Before you could offset your mortgage interest against what you earn in rent, but the legislation changed which stopped that basically, which is why people buy through businesses, because that doesn't apply to businesses effectively, because it's a limited company. The mortgage interest is a business expense effectively. Okay. Now, buying through a business is relatively easy. Back in the day when people first started doing it, it used to be like, oh, is there a lender that I need a lender that will lend to a company? Now, it's not even a second thought. Like
they all do it.
They all do it, bro. You have to. You capture. I say it's part of the game. If you do buy to let, you have to do it, right? It's relatively easy. You incorporate a limited company. Use the SIC code of a business that buys property. The only thing is that it's when you open a company to buy property, it's also called a SPV, which is a special purpose vehicle. You don't have to look into that too deeply, and especially for the bankers, it's not like your stereotypical SPV. It just means that you can only use that company for acquiring property.
Okay.
So you can't use it to be buying and selling on the side as well. Do you get?
Okay, cool.
It's only for property basically, but it's relatively easy. There are companies now that even allow you to do all online. They'll incorporate the company for you.
Incorporate SPV for
you. Yeah, online and everything. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So SPV to use to buy and sell just property, and then how does it work in terms of like income from the property? Is it treated differently? Like, so obviously, like, let's say, obviously you're getting rental. If it's just a basic, let's say, buy to let, right? You're getting like, I don't know, you got a mortgage, someone's paying it. I don't know, it's a simple example, £500 profit. How does that work? Is it like the normal rules of like, if it's in your name, was it a bit different?
So it's different. So you'll pay corporation tax on the income. Okay. And then you'll then take out the money of the company in whichever way you want to do it, basically.
Okay.
People can do all sorts of different things. Yeah. You know, once it's in a company, it's kind of like the ball's in your court. So some people might have a management company that they own. And the management company charges their business. Wow. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. And all that kind of stuff. Gosh. See a tax specialist.
Yeah, see a tax specialist.
You know when it comes to tax, bro, it's just so like...
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, bro. Even me, like my accountant emailed me yesterday and it was about something we were speaking about 4 weeks ago. I'm like, bro, summarize, please. Like, bro, do you get what I'm trying to say? And I feel, sorry to go for the tangent, but I feel like, you see the job of an accountant, so important because every business needs it, but no business is an expert on it. It doesn't make sense for me to be an expert on the accounts. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. If you're running a cleaning business, it doesn't make sense for you to be experts on the accounts. You need to be experts on other stuff. Yeah. If you're opening and running a florist, it doesn't make sense for you to be an expert on the accounts. So everyone needs accountants, bro. Yeah. So
you need it, and you need a very good one. If you need a tax specialist on top, definitely. I think it's worth paying for these things because you need to get these things right. And thank you for mentioning SPV. I think that's very, very, very important. You know the rules, you said the rules changed. Did that then have an impact on you, the rules changing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, annoying, So, I mean, I took drastic measures. It was one of the things that made me quit my job because obviously I was a high rate taxpayer.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I quit altogether. I quit banking. I quit banking for a number of reasons as well, because I was doing TV presenting at the same time during the pandemic. Yeah. I think it was, for me, I always tell people that period of my life, God intervened in it because so many things happened at once. But two of the things was that I used to film for my TV show while I was working in banking.
Okay. Yeah.
My TV show came to me one day and said that we're renewing it for another season, so we're going to need you. The bank came back from America and said, yo, everybody's 5 days in a week in the office. So now I literally have to choose. Yeah. And then just around that period as well, I'd been whooped for last year's tax. Because obviously we own significant properties in our name and we're high rate taxpayers. So it actually been, I'm like, this doesn't make no sense. Yeah. So I quit my job because my TV income could still go through the business. And you remember with self-employed income, you choose when you declare it. Yeah. Some of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, basically, you know what I'm trying to say? And then it allowed, when you're not a high rate taxpayer, the mortgage interest relief rules aren't like adverse to you like that, basically.
These things are it's so crazy, like why it's important. It just shows you the importance of having that team around you to help you, but also how sometimes the law cannot work in your favor and the limited way. Let me not say limited because that's not the only way. But why sometimes, like you said, having a business, that flexibility gives you.
It does. It really does.
It's crazy. I'm learning a lot as well myself, like in things, and I'm like, wow, like there's these things that you can do. So yeah, I think it's important for people to really understand, like if they are going to do property investment, like you say, and they want to do it seriously, really consider like what route you're going to go
Absolutely.
down. I think it's important for doing that. So, over 70% of people who watch these episodes are subscribed. If that's you, hit the subscribe button. It really supports the channel, it helps it grow, and most importantly, lets us keep bringing you valuable conversations like this one. Plus, you'll be the first one to know when new episodes drop. Thank you so much for your support so far, and enjoy the rest of the show. What would you say has been the biggest joy or life-changing benefit that property has given you personally?
I think there's the periods in life where I realized that I don't have to be anchored anymore, or the periods in life where I realized that, do you know what, there's a baseline of income for a household. And sometimes I say to people that Antoinette and I have been in property for a long time, so a lot of our property income is baked into our household income. Like, it's just part of what we know our income as, if that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, like, even little things like spending extended amount of times out of the country, because property works for us all. Like, I recently went out to Dubai for an extended period of time to open a real estate agency out there. Yeah. And if I wasn't in property, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Yeah. Because property can just pay me, if that makes sense. So I think that, speaking of the word joy, I think that the joy of it is that I am able to do certain things with my family without a huge amount of stress, if that makes sense. I don't have to get time off work, or I don't have to do this, or I don't have to do that. And that's kind of why I got into property. It was to be able to have that kind of like time freedom and location freedom effectively.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people want that.
Yeah, they
want
do.
That time. Look, they want to buy their time back. But you have to be intentional, like you say, to buy your time back, because it's important. How many of your hours are you getting back for yourself to be able to do the things that you want to do?
Absolutely. And you have to be patient. You have to be patient as well. Remember that, like, when I was working in Bank of America, some people used to ask, like, "Raw, you got all these properties, why are you still working?" Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I used to ask myself that question as well. And I think that the first thing is I could. And I'm very, very thankful for that, because I was able to, I'd put things in place early that didn't mean that property was stressful for me. Yeah. Does that kind of make sense? It didn't mean that I'm running up and down. It didn't mean that I'm doing this or doing that, right? So I was able to do work, and like a true Nigerian, if there's hours to be, if I'm able-bodied, you get what I'm trying to say. But you have to be patient. You have to be patient, right? And I even say that, like, the latter years in properties where it's kind of like every year it's like there's more joy that comes from it. There's more joy that comes from it. But it wasn't immediate in year one. Like I had my head down year one, I had my head down year two, but we knew what we were building. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the opposite side of this. Do you think property can sometimes trap people, for example, being asset rich but cash poor? Because you kind of mentioned that before. And when I think about this, I kind of think more to, a lot of our parents, they'll be buying properties back home, but then here they don't have as much, like you said, cash flow. The standard of living is not what it should be, but they have lots of assets.
Yeah, absolutely great question. I'm going to answer it for two people, right? Because I think there's the two main people who were asking about. I always say that buying your first home, not investing in property. I always say that if you're not investing elsewhere, if you don't have an extremely high paying job, or if you're not building a business, you need to buy your first home, your home to live in. Yeah. Why? Because 45 years ago, Maggie bought a property in, let's just say, Borough, where I grew up, right? She didn't think much of it. She wanted to buy a first home with her husband, right? She hasn't invested elsewhere at all. She hasn't even thought about investing. 45 years later, Maggie has £1 million asset. So you ask, was it a trap for her or not? Was it a trap? She wasn't going to invest anywhere else. She's even fortunate that she's got that property. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for the people that aren't going to do anything else, it can't be a trap, because this is your only version of investing. The thing about buying your first home is that for the people that are never going to invest anyway, they're not like, and not everybody has to be like this. Yeah. They're not driving this as a business. They haven't got that entrepreneurship spirit. Buy your first home, because what you're going to do is going to be paying for living costs, but you're kind of investing at the same time. That makes sense? Yeah. So for those people, it's not a trap. even if you've got a huge asset, at least you can liquidate it and do things for your family. And as working as a mortgage broker, I saw plenty of our let's just say of my aunties and uncles, or not actually my aunties or uncles, but people that look like who I grew up around doing that, coming to Kent, they're 400k, 500k cash from a sale. Do you get what I'm trying to say? For the other person, it definitely can be a trap if you're coming into investing, but it's only a trap if you don't know what you got into property for.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very good to be intentional with why you are investing. If you know you're investing for cash flow, invest for cash flow. If you know you're investing for capital appreciation, you know the cash flow might take a little bit of a hit, but you know what you want basically. So I think that that's super, super important for people to take their time and learning, because if you just invest blindly and then you start realizing that you've got a money pit where you just throw money into it, and the money can be released, by the way, but it's just like assets and it's not affecting your day to day.
Yeah.
And that's why stuff like rent to rent has got more popular, because it affects people's day to day. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, this is money I'm making this month. Then I think that you just need to assess your strategies and work accordingly.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, especially the first example, because you're right. Not everybody's going to get into it, but at least if you do own your own home, it is some form of investment. You are building some nest egg for yourself, and potentially generational wealth, because you can potentially pass that down to your kids. Even for yourself in your later years, like you say, you can downsize and things like that. It just gives you options, and I think that's important, because I would say some of the parents in our generation did buy here and bought their home. Some didn't, and chose to
invest back home
and then rent. And then it was like, oh, was that not that that's a wrong decision, but like you say, actually where you're living, maybe you own that first, and then after then you can then buy abroad, right? So you mentioned your real estate agency in Dubai. What motivated you to start one?
Yeah, I think that it's funny because this podcast is kind of like linked to a lot of the things I'm saying, but literally what I said in school, like I'm someone who like kind of sees the trends of things and I'll act on it, right? And we mentioned that 16.5 millionaires left the UK. Once again, the UAE being relatively small, they're number one who's getting the most millionaires, right? And that's bigger than the US. Once again, we're talking numbers, not percentages. So there's 3 real reasons why I opened a real estate agency. We'll start with the first, which is, and it's all things that I've mentioned today, which is my passion. Anthony and I's passion is to help. That's why we're creating content for people in the first place, right? We actually can't help it. Like, we will always just spend our time, all right, this is how you get started with this is how you get started with that. And with BrickzWithTipz itself that we've built, we've been able to help so many people through education. We know that there's a lot of people moving to Dubai, a lot of people from the UK. We want to be able to consult them. And I say consult for a reason. Real estate agency is sales, isn't it? But I think that it's very, very important to understand that where we are positioning ourselves is that we're educating people to a position whereby they can tell their friends why they made that investment. Okay. Sometimes someone gets sold something and it's like, oh, why did you buy that? And it's like, we use education first.
Okay.
So when you're buying something, you can say, you learn it yourself, and you can say to a friend that, look, there's limited stock availability. This is the last plot of land that's being developed in this area. Okay. You can see that the other plots, the other developments went up by so on and so forth. And this government backed, blah, 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 blah. So that's number one, right? I think there's 4 reasons. Number 2 is that Dubai is growing rapidly. You saw we've seen what they've done, turning the desert into what this is today. I think this is just phase 1.
Yeah.
Right. I always talk about ambition out there. DXB Airport, I think it was number 1 or number 2 most traveled airports in 2024.
Wow.
They're opening a new airport, Al Maktoum Airport, which is 5 times bigger in the south. Not only are they doing that, they're closing down DXB. And I just say to people, like, what country is number 1 or number 2 and scraps that project? They're not satisfied.
Yeah.
They want to be number 1. So much so that they're closing down a product that they had as number 1 or number 2. And I just use that very high level to show the ambition and the execution that they have there. My second reason is, one thing I've always wanted to do in my life is have somewhere where I can create jobs, where I can help people put food on the table for their families. I don't know why, I've just always wanted to be able to do that, right? And people have heard me say this, but that's why I've always been addicted to Uber as a company. I love Uber because Uber created an app whereby if you have a driver's license and get access to a car, in most countries in the world, you can provide for your family, which is actually kind of mad, isn't it?
Crazy, yeah.
It's actually insane, like to think about.
It's mad. Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, I've always wanted to create jobs, and I can do that through owning a real estate agency because all you need to do is be able to consult, learn, be driven, have perseverance, and so on and so forth. And then the final one is for me, really, which is that earlier in the podcast, I said that, look, and this is why I do Airbnb, but this is also why I create a real estate agency. One thing I always say to people is that create a business that allows you to sell to people that have money, right? And we spoke about somewhere where the most amount of millionaires are going to, a lot of wealth is leaving and going there, right? So creating a business that can sell to people that have money, similar to what I do in Airbnb, just makes perfect sense for me. So yeah.
Appreciate it. And how have you found the process of like setting it up, and what lessons have you like learned from it as well?
Yeah, I mean, being an entrepreneur in general, you know how it goes. It's kind of like you ask yourself like, why? Like why? And it's crazy because I chose a very, very busy period to do it, but it's been exciting at the same time like bootstrapping it, focusing on quality, hiring. I'm getting a legal team to sort out the contracts. Like it's something that's really interesting about business, which I was speaking about recently on my podcast, is that people see the outlay, like what is done, but no one sees the boring bits. And I always tell people, if you want to do business or be an entrepreneur, you need to get comfortable with doing the boring bits. Like the boring bits need to be done. And I've spent my time doing a lot of boring bits. So. Yeah,
that's the thing, man. All the admin, all the things you don't want to do. You're like, oh man, like, why I got to do that? But no, big up you for starting something like that, because it's not easy doing that.
Yeah,
you know, it's all well and good having the idea, but to be able to set something up in another country in that way is, you know, admirable. And big you up on that, and like all the best of it as well. I'm sure it's gonna go well. What kind of clients surprise you the most in property? The ones who actually end up doing well.
So when you say clients, you're talking about clients that
even the clients like you're working with now, and because you're working across property.
Okay, cool. So like my mentees in service accommodation, for example,
or even
people that buy in Dubai.
As well.
Okay, cool.
Everything. Yeah.
So one thing I'd say is that with people that buy, anybody that inquires, always take them seriously. I think that's just a good rule for business in general. Like, if you've made the inquiry, there's some element of seriousness, because people don't, like, some people do, but a lot of people don't go as far as they should do in the process, basically. They don't go that far if they're not serious, if that makes sense. So take every client seriously, and I think that you'll always be surprised because people come from so many different backgrounds, right? And I think that it's important to respect people and give people that time. And if I move away from the agency as well, if I go to when I was a mortgage broker, there was a lady that came in, and she came in with a credit file and so on and so forth. She moved her from South London down to Kent. And I gave her the time, isn't it? But I feel like a lot of people could have prejudged. And this was one of the examples I was giving you, where she was like, do you know what? I only need a small mortgage. I've got like 350k cash from the sale of a property that I bought years ago through Right to Buy, which is basically, she's up basically. Yeah. And a lot of people might have turned that business away, but you still get to do it. And there's other bits of business that you do with it as well. With my mentees, I think that the people, I don't think anyone surprises me in it really.
Yeah.
Simply because the same characteristics that people can use to do well in property, in service accommodation, sometimes it's the same characteristics that they use to do well in their job. Those characteristics can be used for you to go and open a podcast studio. Yeah. Like, you know, with like entrepreneurs and business and even property as well, the characteristics are transferable. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Patience, perseverance, being diligent, being open to learning. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And just being a go-getter in general. So I think that I typically don't get surprised. Yeah, I typically don't get surprised. I kind of got, I know who's going to do well, if that kind of makes sense. Just from the first conversations with them.
Conversation I have with them. And in terms of like helping people like with real estate in Dubai, is it specific types of people? Is it like people that looking to like live there? Is it people that like investments? Is it like off plan? Is it what's like the angle for you?
Yeah. So we're quite succinct in what we do. So it's mainly UK market.
Okay.
95% off plan. So mainly off plan. We can help with secondary, but it's mainly off plan.
Okay.
And three main clients that are investing, clients that are relocating and looking for somewhere to live, or clients that are just doing a bit of both effectively.
Okay, cool. I wanted to ask about off-plan because I think a lot of people are concerned about that. How do you alleviate
their concern about off-plan?
Yeah, especially about off-plan, especially like in Dubai, because I've even seen, when I've talked about Dubai before in other comments, a lot of people say, yeah, like they're not as good quality. And to be fair, I think people generally off-plan, it's not just Dubai. I think
generally
people
speaking,
off-plan think that feeling.
I think it's the same reservations that some people may have in the UK, right? But the thing about off-plan is that off-plan sells out, it gets sold, and people miss opportunities, right? I've got friends in Dubai that they're getting handover of their off-plan units and it's doubled in price. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, okay.
I think the other thing to understand is that it's okay to be fearful, step into it and learn, right? And I've had to do that with some clients as well. And as they're learning, the units that they're inquiring about are being sold out, by the way. Yeah. But we don't mind that because that is prepping them for the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you ain't got to rush into it.
Yeah.
Learn about this development. I'll come back to you and say it's sold out, but don't worry, a new development will come out.
Okay.
Now, another thing that people are concerned about is what I just mentioned, a new development will come up. Some people are concerned with oversupply.
Yeah.
But Dubai's population numbers are growing massively.
Okay.
So demand is going to grow quicker than supply out there.
Okay.
And effectively just offers huge opportunities. And when it comes to quality, they use a very transparent platform called DLD.
Okay.
Yeah. This government platform. It shows you the amount of complaints that any developer has had in Dubai.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So DLD has all of that information.
Okay.
So you can see the complaints and what people complain about. Because like now if you buy like a development and maybe the service charge company is, you got to go do your own fishing for that.
Yeah.
Everything is centralized on the DLD so you can see it. And it's very, very clear who the top developers are. You can ask any expert, they'll tell you who the top developers are. Now on the top developers as well, this is the last thing I'll say. I learned something in my economics days, which is called too big to fail.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'd fail anyway. But I'll tell you what that means. It means that Barclays can't fail in the UK. HSBC can't fail in the UK.
Yeah.
Why? Because they represent the whole banking system. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, if Barclays fails and the government doesn't bail them out, the UK loses trust in the banking system as a whole.
Yeah.
That's why these guys are going to get bailed out. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing for the top developers. I mean, one of the top developers is EMA. If EMA's
huge in Dubai.
Huge, like when you go downtown everywhere, I'm trying to say, it's like, what do you mean EMA didn't deliver on the development? Like, it can't happen, bro. Yeah. Because they represent not only just Dubai, because Dubai represents a lot of the UAE, you could argue that EMA represents real estate in the UAE. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So, like, they're not delivering on their product, and their product is tip top anyway. Like, a lot of these guys' products are, I'll be fair, better than a lot of products here.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Tayo. This has been a great conversation. We learned a lot from you and we covered a lot of topics. I really appreciate you sharing all your knowledge. Definitely need to do a part 2 because I want to see like how the real estate agency is growing. I just want to learn more about like how, not even just that market, because you might even service other markets, but just how that differs to their UK. You might even like start working in other places. It'll be interesting to hear how that's going. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you? Yeah, absolutely. So for all your property and finance tips, just give us a follow on BrickzWithTipz. That's BrickzWithTipz, and we're on all platforms there. If you are interested in buying real estate in Dubai, just contact us on BWT Estates. And if you are interested in getting started in serviced accommodation or Airbnb, you could just use the BrickzWithTipz details, shoot me a DM, and we'll go from there. Amazing, bro. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm glad that we made this happen. Like I told you, I had a request actually from a few people to get you on. I was like, yeah, don't worry. I'm trying to make you remember I told you when we spoke offline that I was like, that I had a few requests. So I'm happy that we made this happen. And again, really appreciate you. And keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate the education. Like I said, you're one of few people that have... You've definitely been doing it longer than me, and like I see the passion, the content that you're doing, and really trying to really help people. And I think that's very, very important. And I also just want to also encourage the watchers and listeners, don't take this information for granted. I think sometimes they take it too much for granted. Don't take it for granted, because it's important, like the kind of conversation that we're here having, to want to really help people like level up as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any final words for watchers and listeners?
Thank you for listening, man. I'm just a normal youth from South London, so don't be hesitant to reach out. Myself and my wife run the Instagram page, so hit us up, even if you just want to say that you enjoyed listening. We appreciate that as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much, bro. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. See you next week's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, share your favorite part in the comments, tap the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support is really appreciated. We'll keep working hard to bring you more valuable conversations.